How do you stay emotionally grounded in horror and fantasy roles?
Um, Grounded. What would you could you define grounded just a bit better for me?
Okay, so how do you keep yourself more like emotionally level-headed, so to
Mm,
speak?
Horror is very hard. Um, I've been on some horror sets. I was on a horror set that I would say broke me a little bit as a person. I was the lead.
Mm,
Most sets, most days, most scenes were crying or being chased by something. And I would say the way that I keep myself grounded in horror, and I think most people don't expect this because it's not very method, with method, we like to stay in character at all times, and on the set, and when we're eating our lunch, we're going to be in character. With horror, I find the best thing that I can do is laugh in between the takes,
yeah,
laugh in between the scenes, laugh at lunch. And so oftentimes when I seem like I might be having a little bit too much fun is when I'm having the hardest time in the scenes. Just kind of an interesting, yeah, dichotomy, I suppose. So I learned that from my first ever horror feature because the director was saying, no, no, stay in your mood, stay miserable, stay this. And I couldn't do it. And I think
no,
it broke quite a few people on the set to try to do that. And
yeah,
so we found moments to have a laugh, and that's what helps keep me grounded in
yeah,
horror, because horror is one of those things that really takes a lot from you as an actor. And when I got home, no, I don't want to hear anything, any sad stuff. I don't want to see any sad stories. Let's watch a comedy on the TV while we eat dinner or
yeah,
something. Um,
yeah,
but just making sure you balance that out, those two extremes, I would say, have a good dose of comedy or fantasy, whatever escapism you like. I would say
yeah.
grounding myself in fantasy. I think I'm a very fantastical person. Does that make sense? So I feel
It
like a lot of the
does.
time my head's in the clouds. So it's more like how do I stay grounded in reality? Fantasy is just not difficult for me. I grew up watching Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and those, especially the Lord of the Rings, was the moment I had that click, like I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
Um, so if anything, I find it really easy to stay grounded in fantasy. I think
Well,
it's
that must be
staying
one of
grounded in
your.
reality. When you get
Yeah.
when you get the electricity bill or something, that probably brings me back.
Yeah. Can't fantasize your way out of that one, unfortunately.
No,
Oh God.
they
All right.
won't accept bags of gold or anything like that.
Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? Okay. What advice would you give to an artist wanting to get into the music or acting industry?
Um, Nowadays and in 2025, I would say for acting, um, if they have any kind of inclination towards writing, I would say to write yourself into your own short films, and to just, I mean, you can film things on a phone easily these days.
Yeah.
To just film things and put yourself up there on the internet. We have all this social media now. People get famous on YouTube and on Instagram. Film yourself, put it out there. Um, yes, do short films, but I did a lot of short films when I was first starting. I never saw the material, um, never got anything out of the actual experience, except for I kind of developed an understanding of like, okay, there's the lights, there's that's the director, that's the first AD. So I think do enough short films that you're comfortable on a set. But I think at a certain point, unless you're hunting footage or really inspired by a script, you can do too many short films, and I think I
Yeah.
did. Um,
Yeah.
so put yourself out there. Skills is something that I think people don't think about enough. I've been hired because I can play the piano,
Yeah.
um, multiple times actually. I've been hired for my voice. I haven't been hired for harp yet. I've only been playing for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Um, I've been hired for I can do martial arts.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so I would say that those kinds of special skills, especially if they align with your brand, um,
Mm.
if you have the time and the inclination, do those things and put them up on your
Yeah.
Instagram. I'm still trying to work on my skill reel. Um, and I want to get everything up there. But I've been hired so many times off things that I can do. But
Yeah.
I think that having that extra thing out there, it's almost like the triple threat actor. Like in theater, it used to be if you could sing, dance, and act, then you were a triple threat. But I think for film, if you have all these extra skills, it makes you so much more hireable and people don't realize. And make sure you advertise. I can do
Yeah.
this. It's something that I need to work on. I'm over here
Mm,
sort of saying these things and I'm like, I need to put up more clips of things that I can do.
mm,
It just helps you so much. And also it gives you a little bit of a break because you do acting full time if you're lucky. And
yeah.
then it's nice to be able to go, oh, I'm going to my taekwondo class now or something. Um, and I would say that's underutilized. For music, I don't have a music career. I would love to. I'm starting to get into playing weddings, but it's very similar. You know, get footage of yourself up on socials. Um, find a team of musicians, find a group of people that love music as much as you do. It's great if they play different instruments. Otherwise, if you all play the same instrument, you're going to struggle to perform together. Um, yeah, I had a little folk band for a while that really kept me going. I'd love to get back into that, but I'm so busy. That sounds such a
Yeah.
crazy thing to say as an actor. I'm so busy, but I'm busy with a lot of things. I'd love to get back to doing a music band.
I think we all wish that we had more time in the day sometimes to do the
Right.
things that we love.
Oh, funny we didn't have to sleep.
Yeah, right. That takes up a huge chunk. If we that would be great if we just didn't ever have to sleep.
It really
But
does
then
make it
again,
so that you can have fun.
the peace and quiet's nice. All right. Um, how do you understand your character's backstory when it's not fully written into the script?
Um, I try to start with asking the director, and sometimes you'll get sometimes I've been surprised by some incredibly detailed responses. But sometimes, especially if your character isn't the lead character, you don't get given much. And I
Yeah,
find then that you have to write your own backstory.
yeah,
Um,
which
I
can be
actually
hard.
went, oh, it can be really hard. And I have written backstories sometimes, and then I get to do the scene, and the director goes, "Why would you do that?" And I have to explain that I came up with this backstory, you know. Sometimes it doesn't fit, but more times than not, especially when the director hasn't provided a lengthy background story, and occasionally I've gotten almost nothing, um, they're happy because you've added a layer to the character that they probably didn't see. They may not have had much time to think about your particular character, or they may have been one of those directors who really wanted to see what you would come up with.
Yeah,
I did an acting. I did some sort of semi private lessons with a guy who talks about memory creation, and this was a
okay.
really interesting approach to acting that I don't think many people have done, which is where you actually create false memories for your character that relate to really strong things in the script. So, say someone this is maybe a terrible tragic example, but maybe someone was in a car crash or, you know, and you recreate that memory. And that means that when you have to bring that up in the script, you have specific details of what that felt like, images that you can see in your head. And I've found that memory creation technique to be one of the most useful for acting
Yeah,
and for creating characters where it's like, oh, she had this like momentary pause where it looked like she was seeing something, you know.
yeah,
Um, and you can also attach it to music tracks. You can go over the memory while you're listening to something, and then if you hear that track, I'll sometimes sneak a sneaky earbud in before I do a scene that's really important, like an important scene, and then take it out.
yeah,
Um, play that track, and that can kind of bring that false memory back for you. So
yeah,
that that was just that approach has honestly, I think, changed my acting because I think that's how we are as human beings. You know, we when intense things happen, and I would say only do this for moments of the script that are really intense, you know, really important scenes, is we do remember things that have happened to us in the past, and that's
yeah.
obviously a lot of the time what drives our actions. So if you have the time to create detailed memories for the most important things your character goes through, do it, because you wouldn't believe the level of detail that will then happen in your character's backstory and the little subtleties that you will see on camera.
That's great advice. I really like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Since comedy, what's the funniest thing to ever happen to you on set?
Um, oh my God, the funniest thing to ever happen to me on set. Um, uh, oh, I feel like I'm sure you've heard this already. I witnessed a prank on American Hero.
Hmm. I
Um,
have.
and it was really funny. And the funny thing was that Lana, who was playing Emma, the lead, her and Zara came into the space, and she looked at me and she went, shh. I thought, what's going on? What's she doing? And her mum came in and she was sort of running around and full of energy, and I'm a child and everything. And then she sort of tripped and fell down, and was like, oh, I really hurt and everything, and it was so believable. She is such a good actress, right?
Yeah.
That I really believed her, even though Lana had gone, something's going on. I was like, oh, but is she really hurt? Because she's such a good
Yeah.
actress that I thought, well, wait a second, maybe she was meant to do something and then she actually got hurt. Because there's no gap in her performance. I was absolutely
Yeah.
sucked in, and I was like, no, no, no. They said they're doing something. And so I was caught in this sort of like, is this real? Is this not real? This is so believable. And then she dragged it out for quite a while. And then I remember Lana kind of looking at her going, Prague, now is the time to tell your mum that you're not hurt, that you're fine, because the mum's a bit worried, of course. And and it was so funny because Lana was like, come on, Zara, like making like eyes at her. And
Yeah.
then she finally, started laughing. And I think um that moment as well, my heart went, oh, it's okay. But the fact that she could fool me, even when someone
Yeah.
had come in and told me there's something going on here, is a credit to what an amazing little actress she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
In that interview, I was speaking to her mum, and she's like, all I could think at that point was, oh my God, you've got all this filming to do today, and now you can't do it because you're hurt. And Zara's like, is that all you cared about, mum? It's
Oh
so
my God.
funny.
I would say as well, just to add on to that, probably one of the funniest things I've done is that I actually got into bed with the wrong guy. Um, on a vertical set. We thought we were doing one scene and we were doing a different scene. So I popped into bed with a guy, and it turned out that I was actually doing the scene with a different guy. So they had to kick
Oh,
that guy out and bring another guy back into the bed. That was pretty funny.
I
Like,
can see how
it was
that
a
would have
case,
been
it was a
funny.
case of, oh, we're not doing scene 2, we're doing scene 21. It's actually this guy. I was like, okay, I'll just wait until you bring the right guy in, this is fine.
Oh gosh, that would have been funny.
It was very funny.
Okay. What are some challenges you face on set that others outside the field might not recognize?
Um, Challenges. I would say the biggest challenge is managing your time, because
Yeah.
most verticals I go to, you would expect to be there for at least 13 hours. That's the minimum. So that's your 12 hours plus your hour lunch break. That
Yeah.
doesn't include traveling to and from set. So for the last one I did, that added an hour either way. So that's 15 hours, leaving
Yeah.
you with 9 hours a day. And that's if you don't go into overtime, in which case you might only have 8 hours or 7 hours.
Yeah.
And on either side of that, you need to factor in getting out of bed, having breakfast, taking a shower. When you come home, winding down, having dinner, having a shower. If you're an amazing person, and you have the will, going to the gym, which is very
Yeah.
important for us, because they
Yeah.
do like you to stay in shape. Um, and I often really struggle to do that during shoots. I will try to do that to the maximum outside the shoot dates. And so managing your time, because you may only get 5 or 6 hours sleep a night, and then you're back on set. Um, doing pages of dialogue that you may not have had time to rehearse. Most times you
Yeah.
wouldn't have had any rehearsal.
Mhm.
Um, so managing your time, you don't have time to go out and have drinks. You don't have time to sort of even head to the shops. I would say get your groceries delivered for that week and a half. That is the biggest challenge, because I've had it so many times, especially in China, when I've been very excited. Oh, I'm in China. I'm going to go see the Terracotta Warriors. I'm going to go over and see this thing. It's like, no, 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 you have to go to bed. You have to go to bed.
Mm.
You have to shower,
Mm.
take your makeup off, and go to bed. You have to be really strict, like your own mum.
Oh,
And many times I've come home and thought, oh, I'll just sort of like, I'll just sit down and watch Jimmy Carr for about an hour while I just kind of slowly take my makeup off. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get 6 hours sleep. I get the call sheet. You're going to be here at 6 a.m. and you're like, what have I been doing? You know, don't let the
yeah.
time get away from you.
So
Yeah.
time management is very
Oh,
important.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. If you could star in a vertical that you would class as your perfect storyline, what would it be?
It would definitely be fantasy. I've only gotten to do one fantasy so far, and I died. I died almost straight away.
Oh,
I died pretty early on. So it would be a fantasy, and it would probably be something I would say maybe like witches or sort of Lord of the Rings-esque kind of like elves or something, or fairies or something like that. Something that the guys would absolutely hate to be in. Um, uh, yeah, it would have horses. I've been horse riding since I was like 6. And I've never yet gotten to use that in a film. It would
oh,
have big swords and all that kind of epic fantasy stuff. That would be my dream. That would be my dream vertical role.
yeah.
Yeah, high fantasy. We need
And
more high
do you want to
fantasy.
write it as well?
Ooh, I could write it.
You
I
could.
actually, I started writing something. Maybe I should just write it and see who will make it.
I think that's a good idea. And
Past
then
all my
star
friends in the
yourself in
manual.
it. This time, put yourself in
Try and put
it.
yourself in it. And you can be funny as well if you want to.
Yep, you can do whatever you want. And you could make yourself the
Exactly.
lead so you don't hopefully die in the first couple of
That'd be
minutes.
nice. Yeah, I got choked out using like some kind of spell force, just like this.
Oh,
And I was like, no, I want to live.
no.
This
We'll
is
make
my
sure you
first
do in this
fantasy.
one.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, this is a good one for like horror and stuff as well. How do you
Mm.
navigate playing a character when you don't agree with their motives?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Like the director has told me this is why they're doing that, and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's
Mm.
right. As in, like their motives are evil, or you don't agree with the justification for the motives.
Oh, probably the justification, I think.
Mm.
Maybe.
It's really, really hard. This has happened to me. And I just couldn't believe the character would do that for those
Yeah.
reasons. And what actually helped me was talking to almost everybody in my life about it. And luckily for this project, it wasn't super confidential. And I was able to give just enough detail to get the answers that I needed without giving the story away. But I
Yeah.
think if you can then try to expand your point of view, I actually talked to someone who told me they were like, no, I can understand why that character would do that. And I think having a big social circle is pretty great for an actor. You usually
Yeah.
end up with one anyway because you meet so many people on set. But I
Yeah.
just talked to people about the character over and over again, and eventually I was able to find that justification through one person who
Yeah.
said, "No, I get it," and that was just
Yeah.
that's a result of their personal life experiences. So for me, if that happens, talk to as many
Yeah.
people as possible, and
Yeah.
try
It
to
just
find
takes
it
one. Just takes one
because
person for you to go,
otherwise you're
okay.
gonna yeah otherwise you're gonna rock up and your the character's gonna look flat because you don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can put it down to insanity. That has happened once. I thought, well,
Oh,
he's just gonna be insane. That's what's gonna happen.
yeah. Okay. The vertical format is evolving rapidly. What changes do you want to see over the next few years?
Um, I think for me, a lot of the stories are starting to become a lot similar to each other. I like to
Mm.
see more like different stories, more variation in the stories. More action. I've seen a few action ones. That'd be really, with sort of like strong, let's say stronger female characters is now such a phrase, but I would love that because I would love to play some characters that kick ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm allowed to say
absolutely.
ass, but I did. Love to get to play stronger characters, and I'd love to see some comedy.
Yeah.
I think I saw one that's being made now that's quite funny, but it hasn't come out yet. And I'm hoping that we can have more funny verticals. But I don't know whether the format sort of supports that. I think
Mm,
what keeps people engaged with verticals is sort of like the high intensity and the, oh, what's going to happen next? And I'm not sure if comedy can deliver that. Um, these sort of romantic stories with the high stakes and the mistaken identities and the bad communication and all of it. It's sort of like that keeps people engaged. And I don't know if comedy can do that. I hope it can. Um, so I'd like to see more funny stories, more variation in stories, stronger female leads. I'm sure that's been said so many times.
yeah.
Um,
But so is the comedy. So you're not the only one who wants comedy.
no,
It's
someone else has
not,
done it.
yeah.
I've the title of it has completely gone out of my mind, which is not good. But
Mm,
when that one drops, I'm really curious to see how it does. And
yeah.
whether
I'm
we can make
hoping
something like
we
a
get
minute
more.
and a half episodes, just keep people coming back for the
Yeah.
funnies.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you will see.
I think we need to try new storylines. So we won't know the response
Mm.
until we try.
Yeah,
And I mean, to be honest, a lot of people like comedy.
yeah,
So I think that it would be a good medium. We just need to get it out there a bit more for people to
yeah.
get used to it. So,
Yeah. And I think I'd like to see more independent verticals as well. I've heard that there's been
yes.
a few that have been sort of funded by independent uh, companies and people, and that's great. I'd
Yeah.
actually love to do that. I would love to do that in the next year or so, try to get that together, try to get some funding and make my own vertical. It will
A
be fun.
fantasy one.
It
A
will be
fantasy
funny
one.
and it might also be fantasy.
Yeah. Good. All right. I have one more question for you. What does a good day on set look like for you?
Um, a good day on set, I would say I turn up and I see familiar faces.
Yeah.
I love this world is small. I love seeing people that I've worked with before.
Yeah.
Um, on American Hero, it was actually my birthday one day on set, and I was driving up in the car and I saw one of my favorite actors, a guy called Martin Cohen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he was going to be on set, and it was my
Mm,
birthday. And I was being driven, so I was in the passenger seat, and I was so excited to see him that I almost jumped out of the car. I actually opened the door slightly and the driver went, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Martin's here." So I'd say seeing familiar people. There was a lot of familiar faces on that set.
yeah.
And I love to just get settled into the makeup chair. I think that's where I do my best work, actually, in the makeup chair. When I'm getting sort of beautified and I might put a headphone in so I can listen to lines. I'm a big fan of recording my lines and listening to them over and over again. Or sort of hold up my script while I'm having my blush done and just sort of like, that's where I get my best
Yeah.
work done. On the first day, I
Okay.
tend to be very chatty with makeup, but then
Yeah.
over time, I do tend to get a bit more focused and sort of looking up from the script to see that, oh, I look really nice. That's always a really nice
Yeah.
moment as well. Where everyone's sort of calm and positive, I would say. First day, if you get there and everyone's really stressed, it can be a concern. But I think if
Yeah.
and you can tell when people are impassioned by the work that they're doing. Um, I love seeing the set designer outside the window, setting up parts of the set. Um, and it's just those little things that I think a sense of community, everyone saying hi when they enter the set on the first day, it's going to be a good set.
Yeah. No, that's good. The atmosphere is just right.
Atmosphere has to be right, and it so often is on these because we're all working under such tight time constraints. And I think people are just like, let's get on with it, let's have a good time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to have this interview with me today. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It was lovely to
No,
meet you.
yeah, you too.
If
And
I
you go
do
and
get
enjoy
that
the.
vertical written, I hope I can sort of send it out to you. Maybe you can review it, or
I
or
can
you can
try
do
and
an
promote
interview
it as
about
much as I
it.
possibly can, and I will be happy to read it.
Thank you.
That's okay. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go take my kids to a play center and let
Cool.
them have some energy out.
Good. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Lovely to meet you.
You too. Thank you, love. I'll talk to you soon.
Lovely.
Bye.
Bye.